Xenomorph Prime was the fourth planet orbiting the star Achilles II, located in the Achilles system. It was the Xenomorph XX-121 home world, but also home to several other species. Hidden by twin binary stars, Xenomorph Prime was at least the size of Earth and possessed 3 major continents as well as a small ocean. While the Xenomorph population on Xenomorph Prime was ultimately determined to not be indigenous, it was unknown how they arrived there in the first place, whether they were intentionally imported or part of an experiment that had gotten out of control or from a crashed ship. Regardless, the Xenomorphs made the world their own and built a number of gigantic hives, at least one of which housed a queen mother. Locked in a constant state of dusk, the climate was hot and humid, and the atmosphere was breathable for humans. While the terrain was mostly flat, the planet was covered with shallow salty seas, swamps, and desert wastelands. The areas overrun by xenomorphs were also covered with hive resin. The xenomorphs on Xenomorph Prime were stronger and quicker than their off-world counterparts, perhaps due to them having access to different hosts. Initially, all xenomorphs belonged to a single hive, but after the Super Queen died, they split into 2 different hives, which would not only compete, but were immediately hostile towards one another and would attack on sight. These were the so-called black and red aliens, which in the comic books were represented as having exoskeletons of varying hues. The comics editors have said the colouring was just there to be able to tell the factions apart, and didn't necessarily need to be taken as the second hive literally being red in colour, likely as a reference to black and red ants. The leaders of the entire xenomorph species are the rarest type of hive monarch and arguably the rarest type of xenomorph full stop, the queen mother. While there have been many queens, only a handful of queen mothers have been known to exist. As their name suggests, they are the highest caste of xenomorphs above even the queens. While the planet featured very minimal vegetation, it did host indigenous animal life with several avian mammal or reptile-like species. However, an unnamed species was known to compete with the xenomorphs, thus becoming their only natural predator. These creatures most closely resemble cynodonts, which were a predecessor to mammals, often described as mammal-like reptiles. They had pale creamy skin and blazing orange eyes with clawed fingers and quadrupedal. They could contend with a xenomorph in combat and were shown clawing into and biting their bodies, indicating that the acid blood had no effect on them. Their own blood was black in colour. Instead of being above or below the xenomorphs on the food chain, they seem to share the niche and compete, keeping each other's numbers in check. For many years, the Yautja kidnapped facehuggers from queens and took them off-world to spread on other planets in order to breed xenomorphs for hunting. In the 2190s, an expedition led by Billy, Wilkes, and a synthetic of Ellen Ripley landed on the planet to abduct the Queen Mother, starting a civil war between 2 young Queen Mothers. An expedition led by billionaire Daniel Grant to retrieve royal jelly in order to synthesize Xenozip landed in the middle of this schism and nuked the Red Xenomorph hive, killing the Red Queen Mother. Queenless, the rest of the Red Xenomorphs were eradicated by the opposing Blacks. At some point after the events of AVP 2010, the Elite Clan headed to the planet for their greatest hunt yet, followed by the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, while Specimen 6 was seen being transported off BG-386 on board a Weyland-Yutani vessel. The validity of the Xenomorphs having a home planet depends on whether or not you consider Prometheus and Alien Covenant to be canon, as the comic books featuring the planet were made before Prometheus established that David was the creator of the Xenomorph species using the black goo pathogen, which was created by the engineers. Me myself personally, I like to believe that the Xenomorphs are actually a mysterious, ancient, naturally occurring species, as I find that to be more mysterious and thought-provoking than having them simply being created by David as Prometheus and Covenant say happened. Make sure to let me know in the comments if you prefer Xenomorphs to be a natural species or an artificial one, and if you think Alien Romulus will follow the prequels or retcon them. Thanks for watching, and make sure to check out one of these other videos on screen now, and I'll catch you in the next video.